you. I have this slow mo. I was like in my walking my dogs, and I saw the beautiful sunset. I was like, oh my god, this is perfect for a slow mo aerial, and I almost ate it. And you see the slow mo video of me like going ah. So I gotta share that with you too.
Too funny. All right. Well, I don't know where my swallow. He's coming back. Well, let's go ahead and jump right into it. Welcome everybody to Sparring Words. This is episode 11. Again, every time we say the next episode, it still shocks and surprising. We made it this far in this short amount of time. But thank you guys for tuning in. I am Master Evan Turner, Master Carlos Aguilar, Master Sale Sawazi, bringing this to you live 3 times a week. And today we have with us special guest, 5th-degree black belt, multiple-time world champion, school owner, world-renowned actor, and just all-around great guy, Mr. Mike Moh. Welcome, Mr. Moh.
Whoa! Shout out.
Am I supposed to bow? Is this formal? ATA.
Personal,
Nah,
not
really.
Personal big bow, please.
90-degree bow. Show the optimal respect. But no, thank you for joining us. Pretty much what this is all about is just us. We all have conversations off camera all the time, and we get into some good, deep conversation off camera. So we just figure, why don't we bring it onto the camera? Everyone in here has had, multiple years inside of the ATA organization. We've had great success inside of the organization as competitors, as instructors. But you've gone beyond that into the movie world and the acting and stunts and things like that. Before we get into some of the juicy stuff, do you care to share how all that came about? I know the story. I'm sure Master Swazi and Master Aguilar know it as well. But maybe for those who don't know, the history that you had within the ATA, then XMA started, and of course, that journey. If you would, just in a nutshell.
Yeah. So I started 96, and then when XMA came around with Master Chat, that's kind of when things kind of got me really excited about just kind of a new thing. So I was along with you guys, I was on the first wave of ATA Extreme, and then I got involved with the World Demo Team, and through that, Master Chat, Mike Chat, brought to me an opportunity to submit an audition tape for Jackie Chan. So they were looking for some specific things, looking for people that could do martial arts tricks. So I sent it in from my school, and then 2 weeks later, I was in Hong Kong, and that was in 2016, I believe. And then after that, came home from that experience. And then my wife was like, well, my fiance at the time, she said, we got to go to LA. And we were running a school in St. Paul, Minnesota, Excel Martial Arts. And we were really happy, but we were young and didn't have kids yet. We were just about to start our family. So that was the time. That was the time to go and try something.
You just said 2016. I think you meant to say 2006. Is that correct?
Oh yeah,
all right.
2006.
All right, I'm gonna say, because when we were competing, I was like, no, I don't think that was 2016. I think that was 2006.
That's right, 2016.
So, and then a fun question. No one here answer, but if somebody down watching in the live stream right now, who knows what that movie is that Mr. Moh is in with Jackie Chan? Only reason I know it, I Googled it, and I was able to get it to him for a gift when he came out to my school. And then he said to me, he goes, you know what? I've never even seen this movie myself.
What?
So if you know that movie, comment down below what movie was he in with Jackie Chan when it all got started. So that's pretty cool. So, and then again, just I'll let Master Swazi and Master Aguilar ask some questions here in a second. But now you were in LA. You actually worked at XMA headquarters for a little bit. You were there teaching while doing auditions and stuff like that. And then the whole thing about how Once Upon a Time got brought up is you had left and went back. Is that correct? And opened up the school again?
So I spent about, I think it was 9 years in LA. And for 2 or 3 of those years, I worked as the chief instructor at XMA World Headquarters in North Hollywood. So Mike Chat was really instrumental in getting me in the industry. And then he helped pay my bills when I was a struggling actor just starting out when I just moved to LA. So it was good to have that bridge, and also somebody that I could trust, a mentor in the industry. And then, I kind of just bit my teeth with commercials and acting classes, and little roles turned into smaller, bigger roles, and bigger. And then eventually, kind of my first big break was doing Street Fighter. And then that movie I did after I'd moved away. So I moved away when my daughter was born, our second child. And we just wanted to be closer to home and be in the Midwest. And then after that, I actually started working more than when I lived in Hollywood. So kind of crazy how everything turned out.
That's like awesome. That's awesome. And those who haven't seen the Street Fighter, it's a YouTube series. Mr. Moh knows my sincerity of how much that whole entire web series means to me. So you should definitely go check it out. And we had some people guessing down. Robin B. Hood, you guys were correct. That is the.
They're Googling it. They're Googling it. It's so obscure.
They have
They had to.
They have to be, yeah. No Google, you guys cheated. This is like Family Feud. You do not get points. But anyways, let's just kind of jump into it. I think, I know Master Aguilar is going to probably have some questions about branding. That's something we talked about earlier about branding within the ATA organization. And I know Max Swazi going to ask some questions.
That's not my question. It's something that came up right now.
Well, we'll let you guide that conversation today. And then Master Swazi, if you could kind of guide it a little bit through on the from competition side of things, what was like as a competitor, what maybe what advice would you then give to competitors who are competing on the circuit right now and maybe have the idea of one day making it big? Because I know there are a lot of students within the ATA organization that have maybe tried to reach out and to get into that next level of acting, stunts, whatever the case may be. So I'll let them kind of spin some wheels. But I'll ask the first question I really kind of have an answer or an interest in. With the ATA organization, the state that it's in right now, and the country really that it's in right now, your school is one of the first ones that I know started doing the Zoom seminars and the Zoom classes. You were on the forefront of this. I know you closed your school like immediately right away. And not only that, but you also have another business that I'm not sure everyone knows about. You also have the Go Ninja in Ninja Warrior Gym. So in this time of quarantine right now, how have you stayed active within your student clientele base and, keeping that atmosphere as strong as it has been?
I think the biggest thing was just being proactive. I think when this was, I can't even remember, it seems so long ago, maybe it was February, people were talking about this and people were saying like, no, it's just in China, it's in Italy, it's not going to affect us. And I said, my wife and I were talking, I was like, we have to start preparing for the absolute worst scenario and just hope that it doesn't get there. But, we started planning out the Zoom stuff pretty early. And as soon as we were recommended to kind of do the social distancing, we put in a plan. Phase 1, we'll do this, phase 2. And then, we switched to Zoom pretty quick. But it's just, we have a really supportive community at our school and we have a small town that's really close knit. But, we've been really grateful to be able to do that with Mo's. But for the Go Ninja, we run classes and birthday parties. That business has been really hit hard because we've had to shut everything down. So luckily we have Mo's to be able to kind of keep it afloat for the next couple months if need be.
I'm sure that's tough. I know everyone who's on schools right now, we all have had that hit, but you were very proactive on some of the instructor sites about things that you've been doing. I know I personally have benefited in my school from some of the ideas you've had. So, I'm sure from many of the ATA instructors who haven't reached out and said it personally, we thank you for that. Master Aguilar, you want to jump in here?
Yep. So am I asking like the question that I want to ask or the question that we talked about?
Whatever you want to go for it.
Ask your question, man.
All right. Just give us the experience, the rundown of what it was to be working with Brad Pitt and that great cast of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I love the movie, by the way. It was a great movie. Loved it. So just give us the whole experience rundown. Were you starstruck? All that stuff.
It seems so long ago, but also it feels like yesterday. That experience was kind of crazy because this was not the first time I had auditioned to play Bruce. I've been kind of chomping at the bit. It was one of my goals, kind of like bucket list. I want to play Bruce Lee. He's one of my heroes, all-time favorite, not only actors, but martial artists. So that was an endeavor that I failed a few times on. And it's been kind of a couple moments in my career where it was just like, okay, well, I guess it's just destined to not happen. And I have to be okay with not playing Bruce. So this kind of came up out of nowhere. I was teaching class and I got a phone call. I had somebody take over and they said, hey, Quentin Tarantino's making a movie and Bruce Lee is in the movie. So they said, but we can't send you, normally because I live in Wisconsin, they'll send me the audition and I'll tape it in my basement and I'll send it over online. But they said, no, they don't want you to tape because it's so secret that they won't release any part of the script. So we need you to hop on a flight tonight and be in LA tomorrow to audition in person. So I did that, and I flew home, and a couple weeks later, they're like, "Hey, Quentin really responded to your film." And I said, "Quentin Tarantino?" And they said, "Yeah, he wants to meet you." So I flew out, met Quentin. He knew my name, just like this giant character, and that was kind of the first time I was starstruck by a director. And then my third round of auditions, I came back and I had to do a table read with all the stars that, you know, I wasn't expecting to meet. I thought I was just going to meet Brad. They said, yeah, be ready to do some chemistry reads. So usually that means meet the actor that you're going to work with. So I figured, okay, I'm going to meet Brad. Cool. I show up and I meet Al Pacino, Margot Robbie, Leo DiCaprio, Brad Pitt. Everybody was there. So that was kind of crazy. Wow. That was surreal. But, you know, after I got the job, I didn't feel starstruck just because I had a couple weeks to practice with Brad, and he's like the most down-to-earth dude, and he's such a hard worker, so humble and so cool. So he never made me feel like I was just some no-name actor.
Some random Asian.
We were just coworkers at that point. And then just being on set with Tarantino is just he's a master of his craft, so it just felt.
Did you ever see? Go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, I just said he definitely knows how to get the best out of his actors. You know, I feel like that's the best performance I've had thanks to his guidance and his trust in me. So it was a great experience.
Now, did you ever get to see the other people who were auditioning for it?
No. Apparently it was super, super cutthroat. So in the second round, when I first met Quentin, he said, okay, I think what you're doing is pretty good. So the next thing is, the next time I see you, I'm going to have narrowed it down to 3 or 4 Bruces, and we'll just kind of go from there. And we'll put you guys in a room and we'll see who's the best one and who comes out. So when I
put you
went
all
to
in the same room together, it was like, all right, go.
That's usually what happens in some of these.
Oh, really?
Things.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so when I went to the table read, I was expecting to meet a couple of my competition, but when I got there, it was just me. So I was like, okay, it's mine to screw up.
I just want to walk in like, I'm Bruce Lee. No, I'm Bruce Lee. No, I'm going to be Bruce Lee. And to see everyone.
Like the Spider-Man.
Everyone in there trying to like, yeah, exactly. I can just imagine you all showing up like trying to do the Bruce Lee impersonation, and then like, no, look at my 6-pack. No, look at my 6-pack. I'm more Bruce Lee.
He's been kind of swole for that too, man.
Well,
no,
yeah,
opposite.
How much I ran? Well, because I ran into him in Ventura at a tournament. He stopped by a tournament, and I saw him. I was like, "Whoa!" Because you were just like,
"Oh man." I was 135 pounds because that's what Bruce was. He was 135 pounds. So I think I was like 138 or 139. I couldn't go any.
How much do you normally weigh
leaner.
Around?
What? Yeah. What do you walk at?
I walk around maybe 150. So when I did Street Fighter, I was 170, but I was kind of
a little buff it out,
a little thick. I wasn't very cut. I was kind of floppy.
All that creatine.
Yeah, you were much bigger for that.
Yeah.
What was the training routine like to get ready for either one of those roles? I mean, to go from one side to get as big as, you know, Ryu, and then, you know, look on the other side to get as trim or as lean as Bruce.
Well, naturally, I'm more of a Bruce body style, lean, than I am Ryu, because Ryu's obviously a fake video game character and nobody moves like that and looks like that. But
I'm more of a donut shape.
Honda.
Yeah, I mean Honda, exactly.
For Street Fighter, it was creatine. It was mass gainer shakes every 2 hours. It was waking up at 3 a.m. It was terrible. I wouldn't wish it on anybody. But and I felt my knees and my ankles just every day, just that extra weight. So I was glad to not have to do that all the time. But for Bruce, it was just everyday cardio, just hit bag work, jump rope, all. No weights, mostly not weights, mostly just martial arts.
So I got a question for you. Going from like kind of the training thing that you were talking about, also with having to be in the same room with everybody. Like when you compete, you kind of already have a feeling, all right, I'm going to be competitive in this division or that division, or, you know, like today I got a shot in all of them. You know, like kind of your mindset beforehand is like, yo, it's mine to lose, like you said. And then like, so like, how does it, what it translates from your competition like you do normally in a ring to like walk in and see these, you know, these three guys or, you know, any other, you know, thing that you've auditioned for, how does the mindset kind of the same and where does it differ? Because you're competing essentially if you're all in the same room at the same time.
That is a master-like question.
Wow, so was he?
Yeah, that was a good question. I mean, he's tying it in. He's tying it in with the ATA.
It took 11 episodes, but good job, Sawazi.
Yeah, it's like 10 episodes.
I'm a
again
lot
here.
better at teaching when I don't have a plan. I just want to point that out.
Yeah. I think we're probably all the same way. I think when it comes to like auditioning, it's just like competition. You know, it's in a different way. It's a competition, but you know, when I'm auditioning for something that I really, really, really care about and I really, really want it, what goes behind that is hours and hours and hours of preparation, whether it's the scene or just the way you look or the kind of energy you bring. And there are plenty of auditions where I go in there and I'm like, that was terrible because I didn't prepare like I should have. And there are tournaments like we've all been through, like that went terrible and we all know why, because I was lazy or I didn't put in the work. It's pretty much the same. I mean, there's definitely some auditions where I didn't prepare and I got it just because I happened to like pull magic out of a hat. And there's also, you know, auditions where it's like I wanted it so bad I prepared and I just fell flat.
Are the nerves
Happens.
kind of the same too? Because I know, like for me, like competition wise, and Turner knows this, I get sick to my stomach before like I compete heavily. You know, I've never been comfortable with competition, so I can't imagine like walking to, you know, something that, you know, the stakes are, you know, for me in the competition is like for fun, you know, like the stakes for you for that is a little bit higher. So, you know, do you have like a, you know, think about it. Do you have like a routine? Like, okay, I wear the same underwear. I got my lucky socks on, you know, like what's your mindset? You know, do I need to eat? I need to have my certain granola bar at this time. You know, what is like your routine person? How do you deal with the nerves? Do you even have nerves?
Oh yeah, I have nerves for sure. Even when it's some really obscure, stupid little thing that won't change anything, even if it's just nerves. I mean, I think, you know, you're a great competitor and people often mistake like, oh, well, if you're great and you've won before, why should you be nervous? But it's the opposite. I think it's the nerves. You know, I always tell my students, like, if it doesn't make you nervous, it probably doesn't mean that much to you. So how do we turn those nerves into that extra bit of focus? So it's like when you've got that energy, like in competition, what do? We balance, we keep that energy under control. As an actor, it's all mental, you know, like you've got to go in there thinking you're the exact person that they want and they brought you in for a reason. You just have to show them exactly why your take on this character is the one they need to use in the show. So that's kind of my mentality. But, you know, as an actor, it's so much more, there's so much doubt. There's so many external things. And in competition, like that's kind of like why I credit a lot of my ATA competition days to helping me make this transition, because, you know, even though we're not always televised, even though it's not for money, like there are big stakes, you know, there's a lot of people watching for titles, like especially when we're younger, like that stuff is really, really nerve-wracking. So it really teaches you how to not only perform, but how to thrive under pressure, even when you're nervous, especially when you're nervous.
That's cool. That's cool.
Do you have a secret
we have a
routine
question
for real
here.
though? Come on.
What was that?
You don't have anything that's like a routine or something like that? Like you got to put your lucky hat on? Nothing?
No, not really.
Nothing?
I mean, for Bruce, for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I had my son draw me a 4-leaf clover, and I put that in my pocket. And then every time I did a scene, whether it was for practice or for the actual audition, I would do this. You know how Bruce is kind of like, just kind of does this and flexes. I would do that, and I would always just say, I would just think in my head, I'd say, "Be water, my friend," because I wanted to have that mentality up here, you know, flow like water.
So someone asked in the comments, they said, was it harder to imitate Bruce more on his personality or physically? What was harder?
Physically, it was, you know, we all work out. We all know how to kind of like, if we want to get bigger, we know what to do. If we want to get skinnier, it's just a matter of putting in the work.
I don't know what to do, I guess.
All right. But as far as the hardest thing was the voice for me, the voice. I think the mannerisms kind of came because the first audition I did, the casting directors, they were like, I could tell they were very intrigued, and I was probably like, oh, very interesting to them. but their notes were, they were like, the accent's not quite there. And then when Quentin saw it, he said the same thing. He's like, he wants you to go deeper on the accent. So I spent like, I don't know, hours every day. What's
that
started
process
teaching the
like?
classes.
Just listening to it and
you
did
guys
you work
know
with
the
like
black and
a
white.
voice coach or anything?
No, I didn't work with any coaches on this one. That interview where he's in black and white and he's talking about you put water into a cup. That whole long form is like a 30-minute interview. I put it on my phone, and everywhere I went, I had my AirPods on and I would just listen to his voice. I even went as far as taking a notebook and writing out every consonant and vowel. And in certain instances, he would say it this way or this way. So I had like and every single word from the script, I had to like make sure and cross-referenced the way he said it. So I put in the work.
Never be an actor. I don't even know my alphabets.
And do you think any of that preparation, did you prepare like that when you were competing? When you were actively competing, did you prepare anywhere near that detailed as you did for this role as you would for competition?
No, never. I mean, no. honestly,
I'm not gonna lie. I wanted you to say yes because you beaten me. So I wanted you to be like, I was so dedicated. I was like, oh, that's why I lost, because I wasn't that dedicated. Now that just hurts even more.
No, I mean, I practiced obviously, but I wouldn't have called that like focused preparation towards a singular goal. That was more like, you know how you guys all know. You guys competed in creative and extreme. Like most of the time, we're making stuff up. We're like, okay, during the form, okay, I'm gonna switch to this segment. Oh,
that didn't work out well.
I'm gonna do this. Yeah. So I mean, I've done that.
Spin chop punch.
That's
chop
crazy.
punch. Just get to the corner. Just get to the corner.
Yeah, exactly.
Renown flash. That's awesome. We got another question here real quick also, and that's a good one. Did you keep anything from the movie, or anything did you I mean, don't incriminate yourself if you did.
No, I wish I would have kept the glasses. I wish I would have kept the jacket, because the jacket was actually Bruce's that he wore in Green Hornet. So
what?
But yeah. I just maybe like a month ago, I posted on Instagram. I forgot that I
saw
had
the
this
tag.
picture. Yeah. So the jacket, first of all, it fit perfectly, and it had like the elastic action flex because it was for stunts. And then the costume designer brought me over one of the days on the fitting. They said, "Hey, look at this." And she says, "What does that look like to you?" And I said, "Well, that's clearly Bruce Lee's signature." So yeah, it was from the show.
Wow.
So you had wait, when you say I wish I would have taken it, are you saying you wish you would have just like, were you able to take it home without a problem, without getting in trouble, or?
No, I would have definitely been in trouble.
Yeah.
I bet
that's like an iconic piece.
If I would have asked for the glasses, like really asked more than once, I probably could have taken them, but I didn't want to be that guy, on a movie like this.
I would have been that guy.
You posted something that Brad Pitt gave you a gift, right? That was obviously different jacket, but what was that?
Oh, right. Yeah, as a wrap gift, Brad Pitt sent, I don't know how many people he sent, but he sent a bunch of people, like maybe the whole crew, these stuntman jackets. So it has the stuntman logo that Cliff Booth wore on his belt buckle, and it has Once Upon a Time in Hollywood on the back. It was pretty cool.
That's dope. That's cool.
Yeah.
So switching gears a little bit, your role as an actor, it's been phenomenal, but before all that, you've been an ATA pioneer within the organization. What do you, if you could really pick like your passion, if you had to do or die, would you continue with the acting or stay with teaching? You had to pick one. Would you rather? I don't want to put you on the spot. I know your students are watching right now. They're like, what?
No, honestly, it's very hard. It's really, really hard. I think I've talked to you personally about this, Master Turner, but I think, I think we all go through times in our life. I've been doing martial arts since I was 12, nonstop. I think I took one break for a year, my freshman year in college. I think I credit acting, me being able to use my skills in a different avenue. It reignited my passion for teaching, and I think I'm so thankful to have this school that I have now, because I can go into my auditions and not worry. Hey, I could be done, retire acting, or never get a job again, but I still live for this passion. I still love this. And I think without acting, I might feel stuck, So I think both of them,
Sure, no.
they play off each other. Whereas sometimes I do think like, well, because I'm preoccupied with other things, I'm not fully reaching my potential in either. But everybody's
100%.
different. I think I'm going higher on both because they synergize. And sometimes I've not done the greatest job at balancing. And as I get older, I'm starting to get better at balancing the two of them. And, it's a learning process. But no, I can't really pick.
No, that's legit. I mean,
That was the most
we had this
politically
question the other
correct
day.
way to say I can't really pick. I'm just gonna say that straight up.
It's
I'm
true.
I'm gonna say that.
No,
Mr. Moh, I'm
it's
gonna tell
good.
you. After this
No,
call,
I asked that
ask you for
because
real.
we asked this question. If you weren't doing teaching, what would you be doing? Or at what dollar amount would it cost you never to teach or train again? Master Swazi, Master Ira were like in the billions. I was a little less. But
No, I was
it's
in the
crazy
billions.
now.
He was in the millions.
900 million. I mean, he was right there. But no, did you ever foresee this in your future, or was it always school owner, that's what I was going to do? And then when that call came, was it more of a shocking thing, or is that something that's always been a goal of yours from the beginning?
I think I've always wanted to be like in the movies and in the TV shows, but I always thought it was more of a pipe dream. I never actually took steps towards it because I never saw anybody that I knew, or even anybody that that looked like me, other than 3 people: Jackie Chan, Bruce Lee, and
Jet Li.
So it's kind of hard to really have those goals when you don't see that representation on screen. So that's why it's cool nowadays. Kids of all backgrounds can see somebody that's like them on the screen. So
That's legit. That's legit.
Denzel Washington
Yeah.
or Samuel L. Jackson, huh?
What's that?
Then I got 2 options. I got Denzel Washington, Will Smith, or Samuel L. Jackson.
You guys have a little bit. You guys had a little bit more representation back in the day than we did, but
Yeah.
we both feel the struggle.
No, I'm joking.
Me too.
Mine was
I
totally
feel
a
it.
joke. I mean, black people are only allowed to play slaves now, but that's okay.
No comment.
I said it. It's true.
As
Keep
we
going.
always said, everyone, thank you guys for tuning in. If you ever get offended by anything we say, it's probably something Master Swazi said. So let's just keep it rolling.
I told you guys it's time to drop the X on him.
Drop the axe.
He did that. He said before you got on, he said he thought you were holding the show back.
I told you, man. I am. You guys are good at like asking questions and stuff like that. I'm only good at one thing, and that's making myself laugh.
Legit. All right, so I'm gonna ask the $1 million question. Are you tired of being referred to as Bruce Lee? Does it get tired? Are you over it?
I mean, I get why people do it, but it's like sometimes.
You're frozen here for a
think I
second.
froze.
Can you guys hear him? There you go.
You like that?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's fine. I get why people do it. I don't blame anybody, but it kind of gets old sometimes.
You know
I
why
can
he asked you
imagine.
that question? Because people still ask him always to do this Barbie girl form.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
That's why he asked you that question.
That's so true. I'm tired of
so
getting
How does
over
it
that.
feel? How does it feel to have your legacy be the Barbie doll form?
Yo, real talk. No. Let's get into it. No, real.
Hey,
You know
hold on
why
a second.
I'm starting?
Wait, hold on. Let me put the YouTube link of your Barbie girl on the comment section because they all need to.
You don't need to do that.
Please do.
I remember. Didn't that get like
You don't need
it
to
went
do that.
viral? It went viral, didn't it? And like all these people from non-ATA were like commenting on it.
It went viral
about
before
to go
viral was viral. No, it's truthfully no. Let's get into it. You know why I started? We started doing Sparring Words. I started the ATA Trick Battle, all these other things, because I was trying to create something that was beyond me, so that people would forget about that. And yet, everyone still the comment comes up. Even this on here, they're like, "Oh, we're talking about like favorite music, like, oh, Master Turn's favorite song, Barbie Girl." Just for the record, I never picked that song. CL picked it. Okay. He
You're
picked
welcome,
up, not me.
everybody.
Oh,
You're
wow.
welcome. It was either that or it's
I didn't
raining
pick
men.
Hey, for what it's worth, I think it's cool you did that. So I'm not bagging on you.
I mean,
It takes
I
a very
beat him.
confident individual to do that.
Well, I had lost a bet. The only thing that makes me feel good about it is the fact that I beat him twice in it, doing it. That's the only thing that makes me feel good about it. So,
Yes.
besides that,
I guess
Master
sometimes I get
Aguilar,
upset about it
that's
because I'm
messed
like,
up.
would he have beaten me if I didn't if I didn't win the bet, you know?
You
Yourself.
won. You was like, what is it? You won the battle, but you lost the war.
Yeah, exactly. I won the bet, but I definitely lost the war when it came to that. I was never able to beat that form ever again.
That's all right. You can let it. It needs to die, and you can move on and become way bigger than it ever was. That's fair.
Good job, Master.
Yeah, see, at least you guys are known for something, and then here's Sawazi, and well, we know Sawazi for a while, but like,
Sawazi had a patch. Sawazi was on a patch. Ciel was on his own patch. I don't want to hear he wasn't known for anything.
No, I'm just saying though that like you get referred to something. Like
that.
Turner gets referred as Barbie Girl, and then we were just asking Mr. Moh about Bruce Lee, but at least it's cool though. Like I don't get referred as anything. So
Everybody knows you as
maybe.
Force.
Everyone knows you as Mark Bird.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? What are you talking about? You were known as Mark Burns 2.0. Dirty Pop.
More like 15.0, man.
Ciel also has that, but Ciel also has doing ESPN with a phone in his jacket falling off.
Oh, that was
That's like
hilarious.
routine.
Oh man, that was amazing.
Chapstick too, phone, everything, man. I've done
The
that so many
phone.
times.
Yeah. The phone. How do you?
Well, the irony is the
do the
guy
phone.
asked me right before I went out, was like, hey, empty your pockets. And I was like, oh, yeah, you're right. And then, like, something happened, and we were waiting, and I went back on my phone, right? And they're like, oh, Ciel, you're up. And I was like, oh, snap. You know, like, it's natural instinct just to put it in.
Yeah.
It was okay. That whole thing was a disaster.
That's funny. So another question, and this is something that Master Aguilar and I were talking about earlier, and this is the discussion that was on one of the ATA school owner sites. It's talking about the branding, right?
It wasn't us, okay? We just bring it to light.
I mean, no, it's a good question. And it talks about branding, right? So you, Master Aguilar, you created a strong brand with Kick Force Martial Arts, right? I had Innovate Martial Arts. You created Moh's Martial Arts. And, you know, all of us have different color schemes, you know, whatever. How strong, and then I'm going to piggyback on this question with another one is your influence from the industry as far as using, you know, your acting and whatnot. How did that help to influence your school and build off of that? But at the same time, how important it is to create, would you say, a brand of your own versus the brand within the ATA organization? And Master Aguilar, I want you to answer this too.
For me, I think, you know, part of me was very hesitant about naming the school after me, because obviously I don't want it to just be just about me, because I want to create a legacy. And that's why I think what you guys are doing with Kick Force and with Innovate, I really like that. But at the same time, I knew that I have a name in my community that people know. So it's kind of a balance. You know, I'm not opposed to, in the future, maybe switching up the branding as many companies do. But right now, I mean, it's working for us. And I think there's, you know, my wife says all the time, like, look, you don't have to be John McDonald to cook the burgers every day. Doesn't mean you have to be there all the time. So it's just about the reputation that you have. So I think as long as you're committed to your brand, and as long as you know, speak your mission in your actions in the community, I think it doesn't matter what you're called. It's more about what you do.
No, that's a good point. Carlos, you want to jump in?
I'm the because I pretty much, I don't know how to word this. I'm trying to make it in a nutshell. Ask the one specific question, like because you asked a kind of like a two-part question on there.
No, just on the branding thing, right? So we all are, I would think in some ways, and I say this vaguely, we bleed ATA, right? We've all have done, phenomenal things to help the ATA organization to give back, because I think it has all given us a platform, because without the ATA, we wouldn't all know each other. I wouldn't have had the spotlight I've had, Master Swazi, for him, Carlos, you, and then even, getting the Bruce Lee thing, you credit that a lot to martial arts. So within that, we bleed ATA, but yet we've had the opportunity to now grow outside of with creating our own organization and our brand. So where does not saying that ATA cannot be our brand itself, but where does Kickforce or Innovator or Moe's or even the name Church of Arts, because like you said,
I think when you jump on to the wagon of being an entrepreneur or starting your school, you kind of like have you're already setting yourself that you're going to say, all right, I'm going to create something from ground up. I'm going to use my imagination, and it forces you to like spin the wheels in your head. And I credit a lot to the ATA, but I just didn't want to be too much dependent on all the marketing materials, everything that they provide, because it would have never allowed me to open up and create connections with other people, with our graphic designers, with people in the community, because it just kind of forced me to think outside the box. I think that's most importantly why I decided to go with just the name Kickforce rather than going with ATA Martial Arts. And as a matter of fact, when I first signed my license agreement 8.5 years ago, somebody from headquarters said, Carlos, I think he's no longer there, by the way. But he's like, Carlos, I don't think you should name it Kickforce, because Kickforce, it's not a strong brand. And he was right. It wasn't a strong brand. And he's like, you should go with ATA Martial Arts. It's a reputable brand. And it is a reputable brand. However, see, I can testify, there's a lot of ATA schools in San Diego. And sometimes what I feel like, people are always looking for the newest and latest and greatest. And if I'm able to create something new and just use my imagination and just kind of like take it from right there, I was able to kind of create something different, and it just kind of forced me to think, I guess that's why I didn't want to depend too much on the ATA marketing on the brand, and even in our second school, I don't get offended, ATA people. In our second school, there's nothing on there that says ATA, nothing. I love the ATA, but I've had it both. I've had customers come in and say, "Oh, you're ATA," yes, and that's been great. But I've had people also come in and be like, "Wait a minute, you're ATA," just because they had a bad taste from somebody in the past,
Sure.
And so it's like it's a give and take, And sometimes when you put too much, like at a restaurant, and you put too many, like you're not going to go to a sushi restaurant and order like lasagna, and that's how I felt like when about the brand. I don't want to put ATA, Kickforce, Hyper,
right,
kickboxing, all these different. It's just too much, And so
agreed.
I felt it has to be just one name, keep it clean, and so that's my spiel on why I didn't go with the co-branding of ATA.
I think what you did was really genius, Carlos, especially in a very ATA dense area.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly the same reason why I didn't do ATA branding. ATA is the only organization I've ever been with. And if that doesn't speak to my loyalty, that's the only thing I can say. Like, I've only done ATA. That's it. And I can be critical, but also have love. And I think that's something that people have a hard time differentiating. Just because you're critical doesn't mean that you're not caring. I think some people are just blindly loyal just because they don't want to come off as being critical. But like, you guys are my friends. If I said something critical, it would be to help you guys as opposed to just saying good stuff. So for me, ATA, like, there's a lot of amazing schools, but there are a lot of schools that I don't necessarily agree with, and I don't want to be tied in. I'd rather just have my own reputation. And in Wisconsin, we don't have many ATA schools, so people don't know ATA in Wisconsin. So it wouldn't have benefited me personally to jump onto that brand.
That's strong. I mean, I think what the point you just made there is very strong. Is like, there are phenomenal, and I think each of us on here, we can call 10 people that we know that run some amazing, amazing schools. And there's some other schools that are on here that are well, and they maybe do good for their standard. But I think it's a lot of times it's who you choose to surround yourself with. And you can, within the ATA organization, that has given us the platform to make the friends, be the individuals we are, and even given the opportunity to open our own schools under their branding, because there's a lot of martial arts organizations in the world that don't have that, where they say, no, you can't have your own brand under our organization, or you have, it's cutthroat. This is ours on ours only. So the fact that ATA even allows us to have that opportunity to still teach ATA or Sangam Taekwondo, but do it under our own banner, I mean, that speaks highly about our organization on its own, and that they do allow instructors and school owners to grow in that sense. And, not saying that we all don't promote ATA, because, we've all gone to, I don't know how much money we've all personally spent to go into ATA tournaments, but it's up there. I can assure you that. So
it's not cheap, but it's also worth it. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's so many things to be able to rip on in any large organization, and what ATA has done, from Eternal Grandmaster H. Lee coming over here to what it's become today. We could go on about complaining, but at the same time, like, what they've done is so incredible, and what they've built is unlike anything that has been repeated in the martial arts industry. So, as much as people would want to complain and we have grips and gripes, that's natural in any big organization. But at the end of the day, we're all ATA for a reason, and it's not just loyalty. That's one of it, but because they provide us value as school owners.
And that's what then I want to again speak to about when you were so on the cutting edge of when all this happened. Hey, cutting edge, you get it? You were on the cutting edge of when all this was going on with the COVID. And instead of being, again, you're known within our organization in our industry as a public figure. Instead of coming on and complaining about everything, you jumped immediately onto, hey, this is what we're doing. This would help your school, and you were proactive in the sense, like you said, but not only to yourself, but you were helping the industry within our brand on how to continue to grow. And that's what I think, and this is not a stab at anybody in particular, I'm just saying, but instead of focusing on the negative of what's going on, you were proactive and try to help all the other school owners. Master Swaz is doing Zoom classes now. I'm doing Zoom classes. Master Aguilar is doing Zoom classes. I'm sure 95 people watching right now have taken a Zoom class. And again, I don't know, I can't say you were the first one, but I know in my social circle, you were the first person I saw that jumped on and started doing that like that.
Yeah, and I noticed that I was one of the first, so that's why I said, like, here's what I'm doing, because through trial and error, we're all going to learn a lot more. And I think once we all come out of this, as hard as it is to see right now, as we're all struggling to like live, because we're not used to this. We're, especially as owners, there's so many things that go into owning a business that many people that are students or just working, they won't see that stuff. And we're the ones that take on 100% of the risk. They see, oh, you get this and you get that, but at the same time, what is the price that we pay? Everything's on the line for us. So I think, number one, shout out to all the ATA school owners and all entrepreneurs that are putting their livelihood on the line for our students and for our communities. So when something like this happens, we really just got to band together, and there's no reason to withhold information, because at the end of the day, it's all going to be out there anyway. So if you can help somebody, get somebody quicker, get somewhere quicker, that's just going to help us all better.
I couldn't agree more. Last question, and then we're almost hitting an hour. We've been doing really good about staying on time recently, so shout out to us. Now, each of us have said this. Each of us has said this before, and there's always one name that comes up, and I'm interested to see if the name comes up for you as well. If you had to make like a Mount Rushmore, or like your top competitors that you competed with over the years, like who are some of the names that ring the bell with? Like when you were coming up, competing, were like the go-to guys that you like, I got to go to this tournament and beat this said guy. I want to know if this name comes up again.
Oh, like personally that I competed with?
Yeah, of course.
Obviously Master Martin. But he was always more, because he was always more senior, so I never really competed with him, but I always watched and I was just, man, this guy's so good. Same with Master Erdman. Like those guys were kind of the next thing up, next rank group. But as far as me personally, like I remember you when you first came in on the scene. I saw you in Orlando. You walked up with your commas and you were like this high school kid, and I was like, who's this guy? And that was cool. We had a cool little rivalry, and
yeah, you did.
You were the first. You were the first.
Low key, Evan used to be so salty.
100%. No, it's not low key. It's not low key.
salty.
I just remember. I remember you and Master Herman Marshmelling having your, the very first year of ATA. You guys had your battle, and I was in the teenager division, and I was like, next year, I was like, that's mine. I'm gonna run it. I get there and then I lose. I was like, what happened?
No, I think
who's this guy?
Master von Schmeling and I had a great rivalry that we both got better because of each other, and same with Master Mark Burns, like especially on the forefront of. I remember the first year, I thought I was like in good position.
So Carlos, you competed against Mr. Moh too?
Yeah, and Carlos too.
Yeah.
Like we
No, he's being
competed.
sarcastic.
Person, my bad.
No, we
I thought it was the
did.
same
We
person.
did.
No,
And
I'm talking about competing. I thought Master Burns and Carlos.
I lost.
Person,
He's
my
being
bad.
sarcastic. But you know what? Though?
Wait, what?
It was actually Mr. Moh that got me to commas. He's the one that told me to go to commas. Yep.
Yep.
Like
What weapon did you use before?
Bang Mangi. No, I think I used that.
Actually, wait. Still, didn't you win world champion with double bamagi?
Double bong mangi, double, and it wasn't a world at the time, so it was a year before
National.
it was a
You get the
national.
blue letters on national.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Hey,
as
I
far
want
as
you to order a
sparring
uniform
goes,
like that.
I remember I went to some tournament and Clint Reich
Oh yeah.
just smoked me. I was not ready. I guess I didn't
He
know who he
wasn't
was.
ready.
And he was good. He was really good.
So
I had a
Master
question
Martin.
for
So we
you
got to get
real
him on the
quickly.
show.
Yeah, I got a question for you, Mr. Moh.
Yeah.
What in your demo reel or whatever things like maybe people, I don't know if you have to assume like you send out like stuff that you've done, right? Is there a trick in there that you, now that we've gotten older, right? You see that's maybe in there and you go, I really don't do that anymore. Like that's not that's something I
Edit,
don't ask me.
delete.
So the good thing about it is like I'm getting to the age where I can still do pretty much everything. Like I don't like doing any round up. It's just too much impact, like round up, flash kick. And I also think like, okay, what do I need to keep up with if I were to do a fight scene in my next movie? What are the moves that I want to make sure that it's me, my face in slow motion doing? Whereas some of the moves I'm like, oh, I'll just get a double, or whatever. But most of the moves that we do in a fight, I want to be able to do. So I can pretty much do everything. But the nice thing is I don't have to be super stressed out anymore because now I'm starting to get my name out there and people start to know what I can do. And nowadays, like I remember on Inhumans, they wouldn't even let me do some of the stuff I could do easily. They're like, we can't afford to have you get hurt when our stunt guy can just do it. So even for Once Upon a Time in
But
Hollywood,
I can do a sidekick.
yeah, exactly. They just
I can do a sidekick better.
they wanted me to do all the stunts for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood because Quentin's like that. He's very pure. So I was glad that I got to do that. But at the same time, I had a stunt double that was ready just in case, and he tested everything and he taught me all the fights. So yeah, shout out to all the stunt people, and that's a whole nother avenue of career that's very, very cutthroat and very difficult to make it in.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty funny. Now, and I know again we're gonna wrap it up here, and we just
I got a last question too, though.
No,
Yeah, one
go
last
ahead.
question. Just a fun question. All four of us in the movie, what roles would you give us based on our personalities?
Oh, that's a good one. Okay, well, you guys have to give me more guidance. Is this an action strict action movie?
Action. Yep, action.
I think
movie.
it's like it has to be like it has to be like a
I think it should
comedy
be a funny
action,
movie.
like a buddy,
Okay,
like a buddy cop movie.
all right.
Yeah.
I think
like the other guys.
I would have to put Master Aguilar as the flamboyant villain. He's like drinking the margaritas. He's dressed to the T's. He's like, he's got the gun.
Drinking margaritas.
But he's like
drinking the one.
And he's petting like this albino cat. It's very bougie. I think Turner and CL they would be like the guys on the force. We'd be detectives, and I'd be like this new guy that transferred in, and I'm like trying to make my way. I'm kind of quiet to myself, but these guys are the ones busting each other's balls all the time, and they're always getting in trouble, and they're always like influencing the other.
So we're gonna
force
play
to,
ourselves.
Yeah, pretty much.
Done. All right. Hey, write the script, Mo. Send it off to the people you know. Make it happen.
Calling my people.
Call your agent. Tell them I got an idea for a movie. It involves guys who've never acted before, but I think it's gonna happen. No, but again, thanks so much, for tuning in and taking time. I know you're a big family guy there, so I know, like you said in the message, I don't know how many keep the kids off of me for 30 minutes. I know that's you're daddy 24 hours a day, so we definitely appreciate it. And we're gonna continue doing this, and you watched the show and you supported it. When we first jumped on, you said, what's the format, and it's really just us talking. And we call it Sparring Words because we want it to be unique. Sometimes things get heated. We get into it, and we don't pull any punches. This is 100% unique. There's
just yelling at Evan. It's just yelling at Evan to just go at it, and I just.
Yeah, you was
That's
heated
why
when
you
you went
can't-
landing that B twist.
And
You can't get rid of CL. You can't get rid of CL. He stokes the fire. You need fire. You need
exactly. You need you to just sit there
only do I
and
do
drink your
that.
margaritas.
Somebody in the comments, please Photoshop him as like what's the Austin Powers villain?
Hold on.
Dr. Evil.
Dr.
I
Evil.
was like, not me Photoshop again, please. Yes, I don't need to be any more Photoshop. They got me a lot last week. I mean, on Friday night. Do Carlos instead, please.
No, yeah, for sure. No, but again, we call it Sparring Words because we wanted to be unique. We wanted to be authentic. It's, even though, again, Master Aguilar, Master Swazi, Master Turner, Mr. Moh, at the end of the day, I think the four of us are friends, and this is literally just the same conversation we would have if we were sitting down at a table. Some of us, some of us more than
No,
others.
Master Turner and I, we just spent a good weekend together. How long ago was that, Master Turner?
I was
Like,
man, when was that?
maybe 5 months ago.
Yeah.
East Coast, yeah. We had a good time. It was really good spending time with you and working with your school.
Well, I got lucky because you were in New York filming another movie, and you just so happened to be able to come down and spend the time and do a seminar. But then we also went to a weekend seminar where we went to the My Studio Summit and got spent some time too. And again, it's funny because we were around a bunch of martial artists, and it's funny being at the seminar. And I'm sitting there, and I know, I pick them up from the airport, and it's so funny. But we go to the seminar, and you can see people walking there like. And the whole time, like the whole first day, no one said anything. But you can see everyone just like looking at him like this, like
They didn't want to assume because I was just another Asian guy. They didn't want to be like, "Are you Bruce Lee?"
exactly. Yeah. But then we go out. We're out at this like social thing at a bar. A couple of drinks, like, hey, weren't you that guy in that movie? Or like, I don't want to be that guy, but weren't you that guy? And after that, it was like, oh yeah, we thought it was you. We didn't want to say anything. That's why, and that's really that experience alone. That's what made me think of the question. Are you over it? And just because I'm known for one thing that's not as cool as being Bruce Lee. So yeah, that's Swazi. Thanks.
No,
for,
it's not
for,
a bad thing. It's just
bringing out my insecurities.
That's what friends do. We are very critical, according to Mr. Moh, about things that we love.
Agree.
See? If you didn't learn anything today there, guys, write that down.
it's the difference between being nice and being kind. He's just being kind to you. He's your brother. He loves you. Okay.
Yeah.
Agree. No, but yeah, that's it. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Master Swazi, anything you want to say real quick before we log off?
Thank you, my friend. It's good seeing you.
Likewise.
And stay safe. And I love all your videos with your children. Not before children, I would see it was like, oh, that's cute. But now that you have the children, it's the best thing in the world. Yeah, it's the best thing. So keep it in that.
Congrats, Daddy. Yeah, man. CL, great seeing you, Master Swazi.
Hey, man, it was great seeing you too. I think I haven't seen you in a long time, but it's good to see that you're still smiling, and I see you all the time, like he said, with your kids and stuff like that, and it always puts a smile on my face too. So I think the time before that I seen you were in the old ugly XMA pants. So.
Those were the worst.
No, the pants ain't felt
the silver
awesome.
black ones. Yeah, the silver black
take
ones.
the
Yeah.
I
patches
never
off. Those are the most
wore
comfortable
the
pants.
silver. I only wore the 2. Do you know what I'm talking about? I never wore the one with
the two.
He never wore the pointy one. You didn't wear the pointy one.
You wore that one, Turner.
I did. I didn't have a choice.
Hey,
I didn't
did you
really
guys
have a
wear the
choice.
belt though?
What's that?
Oh, I had the
Never
clip.
wore the
I had the
belt.
clip
Oh, the belt,
I
the
had
belt.
belt.
the clip. Oh yeah, bringing back memories now.
Woo. You wore the clip belt.
I think I
Never
did.
wore the clip belt.
Mm.
I'm talking about Mo. 'Cause
I went away
the
from
very
it.
first,
though.
the very first demo team competition. For those who don't know, Mr. Mo's team won the very first ever ATA demo competition, and you guys were the clip belt that year. I'm pretty
I don't-
sure.
Maybe. I'm not gonna deny it, but I don't
The
know.
only reason I know because I remember I was talking trash about it. That's the only reason I remember. Because I was talking trash about it. That's water under the bridge. Water under the bridge. But anyways,
No, it's not. He's
thank you
still
guys
holding
everyone
on
for
grudges.
tuning
Look
in.
at him.
Yeah, I know.
I know. Yeah. See you
I'm too
guys.
competitive. I gotta let it go.
All right, see you, sir. Appreciate it, man.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Thank you guys. Hey, everyone, make sure you guys tune into the ATA Trick Battle Round
Bye,
3 happening
guys.
this Saturday. Don't forget that one. All right, everybody, we're gonna log off alive. We out.